Joining me now is Yipirinya School Principal Gavin Morris. Gavin, thank you so much for your time today and for having the courage to speak about this issue.
Thanks for having me, Sharri.
What are you seeing in your school on a daily basis? Tell us about some of the incidents. We've just seen that vision that you gave to Liam Mendes of the stolen school bus. What else is happening?
Sharri, what we see on a daily basis is a very strong cultural school, the only school of its type in the country which teaches in 4 Aboriginal languages, which has a very strong language teaching curriculum, and our kids come to school and they love to learn and teach and do culture and play like all Australian children should and do. But what we're seeing more and more of as our school population grows is a crisis in community around young children participating in antisocial behaviour as a result of what's going on in their community.
Well, you say that this antisocial behaviour, the fact that there are so many children roaming the streets late at night, is partly because they're too afraid to go home. What are you seeing with some of the families?
A majority of the families in the Alice Springs community of all races are great parents and do, in particular, our Aboriginal families in our town camps do a great job under very difficult circumstances. But once again, there's a growing cohort, a growing number of families in crisis. They're at breaking point. They need support. They need the right support. We don't need to flood them with non-Indigenous service providers where they suffer service fatigue on top of everything else that they're dealing with in their life. But it's come to a crisis point where they need support. And what we're seeing is a manifestation of that behaviour with unsupervised children roaming around Todd Mall at night, where some of them feel safer to be roaming around unsupervised through the Todd Mall, what they call day breaking, as opposed to what they feel at home. And we need to address that. And at Yipirinya, we've adopted a very holistic approach to education. We have occupational therapists, traditional healers, psychologists, to attend to the barriers to education for our students, and that's dealing with the trauma. And there's no getting around that.
Now, look, a lot of us watching your interview tonight are in inner city areas. We are seeing a lot of reports on the news about crime waves, youth crime in particular, happening in Alice Springs. Are these one-off incidents, or is this really getting to a crisis point now?
Throughout the Alice Springs community, there's no question that we're at crisis point. This is common behaviour. It's very unusual, and I'm happy to put this on the record, that it's very unusual for that sort of stuff to happen at Yipirinya. Yes, we have a large cohort of students who are in contact with the law, who come in and out of incarcerations, who are in out-of-home care. We have a large proportion of our school who are in loving homes as well. But there's no questions that we're in a crisis in Alice Springs. Across the weekend was another very busy period throughout the community in terms of youth crime and antisocial behaviour. Unless we start attacking the underlying reasons for this type of stuff, we're just going to be dealing with the symptoms.
Yeah. Look, as we were preparing for this interview today, we've been told that, the attendance rate for your school, so you've got 300 plus students enrolled, but often you have more teachers at school than students. Is this right, that some days you have more teachers turn up to the school than students?
I refute that strongly. I've been in the school for 18 months. When I first arrived, that was probably the case on some days. We had 100 students on our books and 20 to 25, 30 students turning up at any one day. That number's now grown to more than 300. And I can assure you that if we want to change the conversation and deal with the impact of colonisation and the trauma that's experienced as a result of that, which we see manifested now in the behaviour of what we're seeing with youth crime, not just in Alice Springs and not just in Australia, but any colonised country around the world, we need to ensure that these kids get the support they need. So we have bus drivers. We have 28 buses that travel 7,500 kilometres a week. Kitchen staff, language teachers, inclusion work, and diagnosis and assessment work. So we need to fund our schools and resource our schools appropriately so we can attend to the needs of our students.
Yes.
And a part of that, I think, is the final piece of that puzzle at Yipirinya is around some accommodation to keep our kids safe.
Look, Gavin, just finally, before you go, I want to ask you, there's been, you're talking here about addressing the underlying cause for family dysfunction and the reasons why some children would be inclined to go off the rails. Often it's not their fault. But there's been a lot of debate in the mainstream media about the role of police. Are the police doing enough? Are they turning up to situations where there's domestic violence fast enough? We're hearing reports of people having to call the police 6 or 7 times when it's really serious before they show up. What's your view of how the police are handling all of this and what they could do better?
Oh, let's be very clear. The police do an amazing job under very difficult circumstances with varying levels of resourcing. So my experience with the police in Alice Springs has been entirely positive. I deal with the police in ways and on occasions that a normal principal probably wouldn't encounter. Picking up our students who are doing the wrong thing in community, and they go about it the right way. There's no question that the police resources are stretched, not just in Alice Springs, but across the NT. But a punitive approach to this issue won't change the problem.
No.
Locking up more and more of our 12 and 13 and 14-year-old students won't change the conversation.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Gavin Morris, thank you very much for your insights and your time as a school principal in very difficult circumstances. Thank you.